Assalamualaikum guys, welcome to another character breakdown video. This time finishing off the cornerstone of the fusion meta with SSJ4 Gogeta. So without further ado, let's get into it. So following our template, we'll first go through the specials, then buttons and blockstring, then neutral, and capping it off with assist. So like the other two fusions, Gogeta, SSJ4 Gogeta also shares his petal both in the air and on the ground, except for two, which is the command grab and the plus energy of justice. So yeah, first up we'll go with the lightning hammer. This is the quarter circle forward attack button special. This is the projectile invincible move. Gogeta goes forward with a singular punch, goes horizontally, performable both on the air and on the ground as I said before. And this is a full projectile invincible move. That means any sort of projectile, including beams and key blasts alike, he can go through them. Funnily enough, he can also go through his DP with this projectile, with lightning hammer, because his DP is a projectile, which is kind of hilarious. I'm gonna lie. So on block, all of the lightning hammers are -4 on block, whether it's the medium variant or the EX variant or light variant. Starting with the light variant is the fastest among the three, actually alongside the EX variant at 13 frames. The slowest is the 17 frames. The slowest is the medium version with startup of 17 frames, and last but not least the EX variant with 13 frames of startup as well. The range of the moves are as follows. The light variant has the smallest range, with it having a range of about 50% of the screen, sometimes a bit less or more. I don't know, it somehow varies. I don't know why, but it's somewhere around 50%. The medium variant has the largest range, with it having a range of about 75% of the screen, therefore making it the largest variant out of the three. Largest switching variant of the three. The EX variant being the best of both worlds, it has a shorter range than the medium variant, but it can reach from about 60% to around 70% of the screen. So yeah, and that'll do it. But funnily enough, this is I think the only character who has like shorter reaching specials in the air, because like his air variant lightning hammer, the light version, actually reaches 30% of the screen on the air, which is pretty peculiar. Like all of the other special moves actually travel farther in the air than on the ground. So for him, it's reversed. I don't know why. Same for all of the variants. All of the variants actually move less on the air than they do on the ground. So it's a bit peculiar to say the least. And on the air, his EX variant is actually the farthest traveling out of the three. So that also gets switched up a bit. The recovery frame of this move is pretty low, being at 38 frames with the light variant, medium with 43, and EX variant being at 38 as well. This is like similar to this is actually less than most of the specials in this game. Like his specials are one of the more abusive ones in the game, because you can do it over and over, and since it has such less recovery than the other specials in the game, it gives him an edge over other special moves, since he has like a unconventional neutral. And even Vegeta's aerial EX kick, Vegeta's aerial spiral kick has like 43 frames of recovery, whereas Gogeta's medium variant, his slowest variant, has actually only 43 frames. So you can understand how it's much more abusable than the Vegeta's one or Gogeta's variant. On hit, the light variant does not get the light variant gives off sort of a soft knockdown, but the enemy doesn't actually fully fall to the ground unless they do the down tech. Then they'll fall to the ground. The medium variant gives you a wall bounce. The wall bounce is large enough only to be converted in the corner. But SSJ4 Gogeta has a long leg to like reach even mid-screen, because the aerial variant of the wall bounce is actually a bit bigger than the ground version. The EX variant will give you a huge ground bounce, allowing you to combo in different routes. But the EX variant will always cross up on hit, like it will always switch side on hit. Both the medium variant and the EX variant are capable of giving you sliding knockdowns as well. But the medium variant of lightning hammer actually gives you a really bad advantageous frame on sliding knockdown. It's not that good. Like a standard knockdown frame is about 50 frames or over 50 frames. So therefore it's pretty disadvantageous compared to other knockdowns. But the EX variant, however, will give you a pretty good. The EX variant, however, gives you a pretty standard knockdown of like about 50 frames, or about 50 frames from like total height, like from a normal height of a combo ender, so that's pretty good as well. But on hit, the EX variant will always switch side, whether it be for a ground bounce or for a sliding knockdown, so keep that in mind. And that'll be it for the lightning hammer move. Onto the second special, the quarter circle back attack button. This is the meteor strike. The meteor strike is an overhead move, and it is your main combo ender, as all of the variants including the light variant will give you a sliding knockdown on hit. First up is the light variant, which has 24 frames of startup, making it the fastest of the three alongside the X variant. The second is the medium variant, which has 30 frames of startup, and the X variant having 24 frames of startup, same as light variant. The light variant on block is only -2 on block, therefore allowing you to backdash after making your opponent block and not getting caught by their jab. Being -2 on block means that you have a lot of advantage. It gives you a lot of advantage, even though it's not plus frames, because like -2 means you can immediately press buttons after landing. So alongside assist, this actually works as a really great frame trap to fool your opponent that you might call an assist, or just fake out assist call into just pressing buttons against you, because it's only -2. The amount of frames your opponent has to react to this is actually pretty low, so it's very beneficial. It's actually really good of a mind game, if you like to say that. Onto the second variant, the medium variant, being at 30 frames, and it also has it's the slowest variant of all, but it has the advantage of being giving you plus frames. That means if they block this, then you are actually +2 on block, so you don't even have to play the psychological game. You can press button after this. It's your turn. So making it pretty good, but of course, since it's only +2, your opponent can backdash your plus frames, but you can always just test it down with your medium and they'll explode literally, because if they get hit with a medium, it's easy. It's like you can TOD from anywhere with Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, as you'll see in the comment section, so stay tuned for that. The EX variant being the classic of best of both worlds, starting up at 24 frames and also having the plus frames of the medium variant, like giving you +2 advantage on block, and also giving you the speed of the light variant of the meteor strike. The range of these moves, they do not travel that much. The light variant doesn't even reach about 30% of the screen properly. The medium variant, however, does reach quite far, somewhere about 80% of the screen. You can chalk it up to 85%. The EX variant travels a bit lower on the ground. I'm guessing they follow the same template as the lightning hammer. Interestingly, the air variant of the move are actually faster than their ground counterparts, being at the light variant starting at 20 frames, the medium variant at 29, and the EX variant at 20 frames, same as the light variant. So they start up faster. That means that only the light variant and the EX variant is actually fast enough to be included in the combo, but you have to include a key blast before ending the combo. So that's that. And as I said, all of the variants of this move actually will give you sliding knockdown. That's why it's your main combo ender. Although the light variant gives you a sliding knockdown, but it has like a really low sliding knockdown advantage, with it giving you 33 frames, same as the medium variant of the lightning hammer. Therefore, it's a bit troublesome. I mean, it's not troublesome. You can easily pressure your opponents in the corner, but when mid-screen, it gets a bit more harder to pressure them. The EX variant, however, gives you a really good knockdown, with it giving you 53 to 54 frames of advantage, therefore making it pretty good. And the medium variant also giving you the same amount of advantage, but the downside is it's too slow, therefore you cannot actually do it in a normal combo. You'll have to rely on assist, just like I did for these moves. Since the fastest meteor strike on the ground start up at 24 frames, therefore all of the variants are actually 2Hable on the ground and on the air as well. This is like one of the Gogeta player's favorite thing to do, to just jump up key blast into the meteor strike, and it is pretty effective, since one of the more favorite things that Gogeta players would like to do is like jump up key blast into getting plus frames by using the EX variant, jump up key blast into plus frame meteor strikes. This is a pretty good option, but it is 2Hable. But the 2H has to come within the first frame of blocking the key blast on a delay of 3 frames in online. So this is pretty potent online, like you have to react within the first frame to be able to 2H it on reaction. if you're off even by one frame in terms of this, then you'll not be able to 2H. Your 2H will get crushed actually. If you use the light and the EX variant. The medium variant can be 2H on reaction pretty easily for both the versions. And this is true for both the air and the ground, just to be clear. Wow. The light variant just falls down onto the ground vertically. It does not have that much travel. It does travel just a bit, but you shouldn't really count on that to travel that much. But the medium and the EX variant does travel a lot in the air. Like they actually can reach from 80% of the screen, so which is kind of bonkers. Actually, even farther. The medium variant can actually reach about 85% of the screen, which is kind of crazy. The EX variant cannot. The EX variant reaches a little bit less, but it is faster, so you're much less likely to get 2H. They have actually sort of like both horizontal and vertical tracking. Therefore, if you do it from the ground or on the air, they'll track to the enemy's position. The air variant of the meteor strike does have both vertical and horizontal tracking property. Therefore, you can catch super jumping opponents because they track to a certain extent, but they can just super dash at you, frankly speaking. Like, I don't know why they would just wait when you're just doing that, but they have like tracking properties, so it's a pretty handy tool to have. Moving on to the special button special. First up is the quarter circle back special button special. This is the Punisher guard. This is a counter, only a physical counter at that, and this is performable both on the air and on the ground. It is a 4-frame counter, that means it is fast enough to counter plus frames of vanish. It loses to meter setup or first frame pressure or jabs after wake up. The counter activates only in response to any sort of physical attacks. That means all sort of physical attacks, including special physical attacks. But it doesn't activate to any sort of projectile attacks, including key blast, beams, and assist alike. But it does also counter super dash as well, because super dash is also a physical attack, and it gives you a huge kick, which you can follow up with a super dash and also a wall bounce in the corner, allowing you to combo normally. So that's that as well. It does lose to supers and grabs as well. Onto the quarter second forward special. This is the Bluff Kamehameha. This is the command grab for Super Saiyan for Gogeta. Gogeta throws out a confetti, which if you are in range with the confetti stripes, then you get hit, and he grabs it. That's basically it. This is a pretty standard move, starting up at 24 frames and having also a pretty standard range. So you can combo it meterlessly if your back is against the corner. But if you're mid screen, or if you're on mid screen, then you'll have to either use special tag or C assist or vanish to confirm into a combo. Onto the last special. This is the down special move. This is the plus energy of justice. So Super Saiyan for Gogeta summons an orb-like structure around him, and this is an invincible move, practically a DP. And also it has the special mechanic of being able to gather Dragon Balls. So every time you do this move, you obtain a Dragon Ball, whether you whiff it or hit it. So a pretty unique move. Actually, nobody in the entire game has any sort of. This DP has a really short range of like not even like 10% reach, but like about 5% of the screen. And also it's a pretty damn annoying move to use. It is a full invincible move. But the advantageous thing that you have to this is that like it actually is a unidirectional DP. That means within that radius, whether you are top, bottom, or behind you, they'll get hit. So this is a pretty good wake up option if they are like air dashing above you or something. So that's pretty neat. The other bad thing about this is that it's a projectile move. That means it's a projectile move. That means any sort of move that can actually power through a projectile, they'll be able to power through this DP as well. So even Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta can actually counter his own DP, which is kind of hilarious. Yeah, but you'll have to be careful about that to not get totally styled on by a Broly or like a Super Saiyan for Gogeta if they read your DP. So yeah, that's one thing to careful about. Be careful, it's projectile invincible moves, not key blast invincible moves. Those are different. Projectile invincibility means it can go through key blast beams and assist alike. So take care to understand that part. On hit, the move gives you a very good slide runner as well of 56 frames, pretty standard. And although when you whip the DP, you cannot call any sort of assist like a normal DP. But if you do manage to hit the DP, then you can actually instantly call an assist to do a combo extension. So that's another thing to also be aware of. Although this is a button extension, but I decided to include the finish sign or the taunt that Gogeta has. This is the forward special, the finish sign. I decided to include this in the special section since it's a passive ability and does not really do anything in sort of like offensive ability or defensive ability to Super Saiyan for Gogeta's game structure or anything. Therefore, I decided to just include it in the special move section. You do this move by doing forward and special, forward and the special button. Then Gogeta does a taunt, and with each taunt he gains a level. You can go up to level 7, and with each successive level, his damage output for his supers increased by 100. This is true till level 6. So if you this is applicable for both his level 1 and level 2 super. So now it does 4186. Now if you do it after having level 1, then it will do 100 more damage. And till level 6, it will stack 100 plus damage each time. That means you can get up to 600 damage after to level 7. After level 7, when you do level 7 level up, it actually gives you plus 400 stack. That means if you level up to level 7, all of your supers actually get plus 1000 plus damage. Plus, after level 7, you also unlock the insta kill ability, which you do by doing the level 3 input with the plus the super dash button, and this allows for Gogeta to do a insta kill. That means if they get hit, they'll die regardless of what starter you did with, except for guard cancel. So moving on to buttons and blockstring, this is the part I'd say Super Saiyan for Gogeta shines the most, as practically all of his buttons, save for like 4 physical buttons and the key blast, are actually unsafe on block, therefore making it his largest strength. First up is the Cypher. This is by far the best looking jab in the game. As a martial arts enthusiast and a self-practitioner of it, I can't just help but admire the form. Just look at it. Also the part where they just make his fist kind of disappear just to convey the speed. This is just cherry on top. This is amazing. This is an amazing looking jab. But enough raving about it. This is a pretty standard jab, having a pretty standard range as well. Doesn't reach that far. Somewhere about like 8 reaches. It is a pretty standard jab. It has a pretty standard reach. I really cannot convey to like how much of a distance it covers. The distance for this is like pretty standard. Like it's pretty hard to like just say how much of it is, like about 5% or like pretty standard. Like every standard jab reaches this distance. So I mean, I say for the smaller characters with the smaller jab, but this is a pretty standard jab. That's why I said standard. And it's also -3 on block. That means you can backdash after your opponent tries to challenge you. So that's that. But of course, further reaching jab will catch your backdash because. And also it has a standard of like 6 frame startup. That's also the standard as well. Moving on to the crouching light. The crouching light is not a low hitting crouching light. Therefore it also has the standardized version of like being 0 on block. Any of the crouching lights that does not hit low nowadays are 0 on block. But it is actually one of the faster ones, starting up at 6 frame as well, which is actually uncommon even among the newer casts. So that's a unique thing that Gogeta has to himself. So being -0 on block makes it practically a reset button to like be able to stagger into dash up into stagger again, or to like thwart good players dash up into Dragon Rush to actually catch them off guard, because players that are actually reactive, you cannot like normally Dragon Rush them to get a Dragon Rush off. So that's a pretty good reset button for that. The range is a bit less than the maximum range of the jab, so that's that's about everything. That's I guess I have to say about the crouching light. Then moving on to the abusive part of Gogeta Super Set for Gogeta's tool, which is now we are going to the second hit of the auto combo. This is a pretty far-reaching button, starting from being able to reach from the round start distance and even a bit more. So making it pretty damn abusive, not gonna lie. And also on block it's -4, making it safe, extra safe. I mean -5 is safe enough, and like it's -4. Plus on maximum reach, you can actually decrease the frames to like -2, -1. So that's that as well. The hitbox of the second hit of the light auto combo is actually pretty damn large and also pretty active. So you can actually like catch super dashes that comes above you. That like I'm not even joking. Like it's that good of a hitbox. Like you don't even need the assist of the second hit of the third hit of the auto combo, which is even more bonkers. I don't know what the hell is going on with the second hit of the auto combo. So yeah, you can just menacingly walk up to them and just press light buttons and be the greatest player that lived on earth instead of just twitching. On the last auto combo, this is the flip that he does. Again, this is the 15 frames of startup. Like who cares of 15 frames? Like you're not gonna like stagger this into that. It also is able to reach from round start distance because the second hit of the auto combo moves farther, making it move even further, and you get the point. It is -4 on block. I have no idea why. Like this is a crime against humanity, and it should be changed to like something much more negative and being unsafe on block. As it also doubles down as an anti-air. What the hell? Why would we make it safe plus give it an anti-air property? Like this does not make any sense. Like no, I refuse to stand against it. So like you can even whiff it and block it in time. Why? You can't even punish it with a super dash or any airborne moves. Like, what? Who thought this was a good idea? Honestly, why is that a thing? Plus, being able to plus you have the option of just cancelling out into all of the safe options of like Meteor Strike or the Lightning Hammer, which is actually -5 on block in the air, but you can actually delay to get some cross interaction if they like press jab. So if it gets even messier to the challenge after it immediately because it's -4 on block. If you give them any time, they'll just press jab again. So this allows for 2% Gogeta to actually play the psychological game by faking out SS call or just canceling it stuff, or even just going for the counter and then countering them into pressuring that even more that you might do something else. So it's a freaking shit show to block that auto combo. What is this auto combo? I really hate this auto combo. Like this is one of the more obnoxious ones. All the other auto combos fine, I'll deal with it, but this one, what is going on with this? Yeah, so Gogeta players enjoy, I guess. So moving on to Gogeta's medium buttons, this is the part of his toolset that got the most attention when he launched, as he had a standing medium that actually reached from round start distance and was actually 9 frames, which was crazy at the time because none of the characters actually were able to do that. Did have a toolset like this, so this was pretty crazy when he launched. So, but now characters have something much more better and even crazier nowadays. So now it's just common knowledge or something like that. So it reaches downstart and a bit more, and a bit more standing, somewhere about like that. So if blocked point blank or from round start distance, it's -5 on block, making it safe. You can reduce the negative frames by distancing it to its maximum range, which is like really hard. You can get it to -2. With momentum, you can make it reach from 40% of the screen consistently. You can sometimes get 50%, but it is really inconsistent. So with momentum, your best bet is going to be 40% or like about 45% of the screen. Onto Gogeta's crouching medium, this also reaches from round start distance, but its actual startup is 11 frames point blank, and if blocked point blank, it's actually -9 on block, making it unsafe, one of the unsafer buttons. But from round start distance, it actually is 14 frames of startup and giving you -6, making it actually safer. But it is safe actually, because like nobody has like unless they're like mashing really hard, it's safe. It's just safe. There's no nothing to talk about. It's safe from roster distance. And the further you go, the later it registers, and like you can decrease its frame to -4 and have having a startup of 16 frames from maximum distance. So that's like its quirk. So the further you are from your opponent, the more it takes time to register this move, and actually the lesser negative frames that you get. So this is the quirk of this button, I guess, or like it's designed that way. A lot of buttons in the game actually can do this type of this type of stuff, but it's pretty hard to do them consistently. But for this button, it's actually pretty consistent. This button does not reach that much. You can get it. It also has like about a range of 45%. But you can also do the shenanigans for like decreasing the frames. So you can reach from 50%, but consistently I'd say you'll be reaching from 45% of the screen most of the time. So that's that, and also reducing your negative frames as well. So your 45% of the screen is actually your best bet to make an opponent block, or if you do this with momentum. Consistent. On the Gogeta special button, this is the forward heavy. This forward heavy doubles down as a sort of a Rekka, having 2 follow-ups after this. It's the forward heavy is a high kick with impeccable form, just to mention. It reaches from roster distance, having a disadvantage of -8, making it unsafe on block, but the challenge has to come immediately if they want to actually make your unsafe button unsafe and not be able to block in time. So it's safe in that sense, because like with stagger pressure, it is almost impossible for you to be able to block in time, or I mean challenge in time with this button. The maximum reach while standing is a bit further than the roster distance, nothing too much, like about 20% of the screen. With momentum, you can make that distance reach from like about 30% of the screen consistently, but you can increase the distance by 5% or 5% more, I'd say. So yeah, that will be it for the high kick. There is nothing more that special about it. After doing the high kick, you have 2 follow-ups, either on whiff or on block or on hit. First is the forward heavy, which is the X kick, and then there's the other cancel, which is the low sweep. You do this by doing down forward, or with number in notation is the 3H. So first we'll go through the high kick, the X kick. The X kick is like has 20 frames of startup, having the same amount of feature as the high kick. It is -5 on block, therefore making it safe. But since it's -20, that means it is not part of a true block string. But the other advantage that it has is that it is actually an overhead. That means you cannot just block it crouching or just standing. You'll have to be standing to block it high, since it's a high. You cannot block it crouching. But as I said, it's low enough that it's not part of a true block string, so you'll have to be careful about that. On its own, it's actually 31 frames of startup, because there is the startup for the high kick, which has 11 frames. Therefore, adding 11 frames to 20 frames, you get the 31 frames. Onto the other follow-up. This is the low sweep. The low sweep is actually pretty slow, starting up at 26 frames in tandem with the high kick. But there you have the advantage of it being both a low, and also if blocked, it's actually +2 on block. Therefore, similar to the meteor strike, you also gain another form of plus frame. But since it is very slow, they can actually jab you out of this and jab you out of your low sweep animation on reaction, just to be clear, because you can press a jab within 3 frames. So it is pretty reactable in that sense. You have a maximum of about 4 frames to react to this and press a jab. If you're able to do that, then you'll be able to hit Gogeta out of his low sweep. So it is best to use it in tandem with an assist, which makes it more of a 50-50. So it's much more better to use it in tandem with an assist, but you can also play the psychological game and just stagger this into baiting out a reflect, because it's -8, it's an easy punish. As for the reach, I really don't think there's any need to talk about it. It does not have that much reach. Has about 20%, and since it comes after the high kick, that you cannot do any sort of momentum overreach, so there is not that option. Just to be clear, after the high kick, you can do only 1 follow-up. That means if you do the X kick follow-up, you cannot go into the leg sweep afterwards. You have access to only 1 of the follow-ups at a time, and you have to select 1 of those out of the 2. Although the X kick looks like a very high reaching button, it doesn't have that much reach up the air. It catches people right below the normal height of a jump, so that's that. But if they block it high, you can get like 0 frame or like -2 frames. But if the opponent challenges immediately after that, then you'll still get caught. So you have to take care of that as well. After doing the follow-up, you have the option of just being able to cancel out into the key blast or go into the normal heavy buttons, which is the 5H or the 2H, and the 2H is fast enough to be part of the tool block string after every button that comes after it. So that's that. So going to the normal heavy buttons, that is going to be the standing heavy and the down heavy. The standing heavy is on the slower side of startup, starting up at 17 frames. That means it is not part of a tool block string, and is also -11 on block. Therefore, is also unsafe. It's actually much more unsafe than all of his other buttons that we've talked about. So this one is pretty easy to challenge after, if not cancelled into any sort of specials like into lightning hammer, key blast, or meteor strike. Therefore you'll have to take extra care for that. And also there's risk of getting DP'd into, because since it's 17 frames, there's a hell of a gap in there, so people can definitely DP through it if you give them the chance. This is by far the largest button in Gogeta's arsenal, because standing it can reach about 50% of the screen. Standing, just to be clear, so you get the point. Standing it reaches 50% of the screen. With momentum you can make it reach about like 70% of the screen. Actually you can, I think, get to 75%. Yeah, you can reach from 75%, so you can understand, like, with the range there comes the disadvantage of being too slow. So yeah, that's the trade for this button. Now onto the down heavy. This starts up at 13 frames, one of the faster ones in the game, and also has -50 and is also -15 on block. Therefore heavily unsafe, if you had any doubt about it. Gogeta also moves a bit forward, making it a bit problematic, frankly speaking. And it doesn't reach from round start distance, just a bit less than the round start distance. With momentum you can definitely increase the range it moves in, but I really don't think you want that as an anti-air. Anti-airs are better still than not, frankly speaking. It does not have that much range. It can reach up to the height of normal jump. Any more than that, it will whiff. So yeah, it's got decent verticality and also horizontal, and since it moves forward, you also get the horizontal portion of it. But due to that horizontal motion, things happen to Super for Gogeta. He cannot 2H properly, that's it. So Super Dash can actually avoid his 2H if you do not time it correctly, which is really sad. Even if you do get the anti-air property, it'll just avoid it, because Gogeta Super for Gogeta moves forward. So you'll have to time your anti-air correctly if you want to get a proper anti-air. So that's one of the downside of having a forward moving 2H. So yeah, that will be all for the normal buttons. Last but not least, I'm also going to include the key blast into this section, because his key blast acts more as a physical button than it is for neutral, because it's a very short reaching key blast. It's a very short reaching key blast like Vegito as well, but Vegito has like a sort of a forward special which he can use to extend his range, but Super for Gogeta has only this key blast, which is like about 30% of the screen. So not a really good key blast in terms of neutral, but it does have the special property of being able to track. If the character is in front of Super for Gogeta, then within the 30% radius, Super for Gogeta will track both in the air and on the ground. So if the character moves out of Super for Gogeta's vision, then the key blast will whiff. But if they're still in front of him, then you can actually hit them. And this applies for both the aerial version and the ground version, just to be clear. The key blast is also has like also is unsafe on block, being -7 on block. This is borderline unsafe, but it is unsafe. If they challenge immediately after the key blast, then you'll get hit. So staggering after the key blast is not a really good idea, since after the key blast your only cancel is the 5 heavy or the down heavy, or going into lightning hammer or any of the special cancels. So or also being able to do the finish sign, but the finish sign is also in -11 frames, so if they are itching to press a button, then you'll get punished very heavily. So covering yourself with an assist and then using the finish sign or something like that is a great way to stagger your pressure and also keep them guessing, I guess. The air buttons are also phenomenal for Super Cypher Gogeta. These are really good air buttons, having a decent hitbox and like decent range. Starting with the jumping light, this is pretty standard. This is like Vegeta's jumping light. It's similar to that, but Super Cypher Gogeta has a bigger hitbox since he has a bigger knee. That should be pretty obvious. It starts up at 6 frames, also pretty standard. So very lightning fast. So onto the jumping heavy. The jumping heavy is one of the better jumping heavies in the game, having a really large hitbox all around and also a really large vertical hitbox. Plus it's got decent horizontal range as well, allowing for some really good allowing you to actually cross up with this as well, but not point blank, but you can still do cross up without doing super jump install momentum things, you know. But you can do a midi setup with this as well after a normal sliding knockdown, as I've shown during the guard. So yeah, I mean, it is a pretty good button like for challenge and going into pressure situations. So it's pretty good after a knockdown as well. So here are some ideas for your two Blockstrings.
Nice try. Nice try. Too slow. Take out the too slow. Give me a break. Too slow. Almost.
So onto a bit of a mix section for Super Cypher Gogeta. Since Super Cypher Gogeta has like a double air dash, he can do a fuzzy mix like that by jumping, falling with a jumping medium, then doing a IID. By doing an IID input, you can do a fuzzy setup like that, and it becomes sort of a 250-50. But since his medium is a bit slow and it's one of the only lows in his arsenal, it is a bit less potent than that. But since you have a option of a double overhead after blocking an overhead, so it is potent. But you can two-edge that. You can two-edge that fuzzy setup, just to be clear. So, and that can be taken advantage by your opponent by you know, doing the low and you getting caught and then exploding. So yeah, that'll be it for the mix section. Onto neutral. Wait, Super Cypher Gogeta does not have a neutral, so we'll skip that. Whatever. Moving on to the next section. Jokes aside, Super Cypher Gogeta neutral is still on the weaker side. There is no denying that. Since his neutral is emphasized on the aspect of counterplaying your opponent's neutral or thinking ahead of them, and this man is practical hit 2.0. You'll have to like literally depend on your large hitting buttons and the projectile invincible lightning hammer to play neutral against them. But against characters that can constantly move using Ki Blast, it's pretty hard for Super Cypher Gogeta to like constantly be able to punish them or like being able to outplay them really well. So this is, I'd say, that's why I regard this as his weaker aspect, because after recovering from a special move and then being able to press a button before a character lands or press jab or medium is highly unlikely. Especially Vegetas can actually out neutral him pretty bad, since they can use the IID momentum and throw out Ki Blast and constantly go backwards. So Super Cypher Gogeta kinda gets cornered unless they are in the corner where they cannot back out anymore. So outplaying Super Cypher Gogeta in neutral is pretty easy if you are level-headed, but at the same time it doesn't mean that he is completely helpless, since his Ki Blast, although not viable for zoning, can definitely catch jumping opponents after running up to them and doing Ki Blast, so and stuff like that. When they're trying to jump up and stuff, you can definitely do stuff like that. And interestingly, for some reason Super Cypher Gogeta can swat out any type of Ki Blast with his Ki Blast, which is, I don't know, an interesting property they gave him. But Interestingly, you cannot cancel out into anything after you do the swat. So like even if you do swat out that, you still have to like hold the negative frame. So it is not giving you any sort of advantage. Frankly speaking, it is not giving you any sort of advantage. So that's another piece of like I just did a lightning hammer instantly after I swatted out the key blast, but it does not actually register as a block or any sort of thing. So there is no cancels after that. So it's a shame that you can do that but not cancel out into any of the specials. It would have been amazingly cool. But yeah, that's one thing you can also add to Arsenal. Plus he has the double air dash, as we talked about in these buttons and blockstring and the mix section. So you can definitely utilize the double air dash and then capitalize on the opponent doing bad beams or throwing out bad key blast, or also pressing buttons like an idiot on the ground like Vegeta players most of the time. But even then that gets rewarded because why not? So yeah, utilizing the double air dash is moving using your lightning hammer, because the lightning hammer is pretty damn fast and abusable and has less recovery frames than most specials in this game. So that's also one thing helping in this neutral, and also using the taunt to taunt and scaring them into making bad decisions because you are leveling up, and also getting closer to your insta kill and then using assist to catch them is definitely part of his neutral game plan. So starting off with the A assist, this is the A assist is the finish sign. Gogeta can level up to level 5 off screen, and on call he will give you 50% bar, half a bar. Till level 5, after level 5 he will give you about 60% bar. So not even 60%, he just gives you like 10% more, like about like 55% of the bar. So yeah, it's a pretty passive assist. There's nothing really to talk about it. The second assist is the lightning hammer. This is the light variant of the lightning hammer, starting up at 20 frames and having a block stun of 33 frames. Pretty damn impressive. It's like the one of the faster assists in the game, because 20 frames is like pretty damn fast for an assist. It reaches about like the same as like 30% from 30% like the light variant of the lightning hammer. So there's nothing more to talk about that. It does also have the same invincibility properties as like the ground counterpart. So it can definitely go through assist. As well, but it is not invincible on startup. That means projectiles can actually get rid of super stun from Gogeta on startup. So you have to be worrying about that. But it is like very fast, so you don't have to worry about it that much. The hit stun on this move is actually pretty great as well, giving you 64 frames to convert, which is pretty damn cool as well, allowing you for some really cool combo extensions on the ground. Yeah, that will be the B assist for going super stun for Gogeta. Another CS is the CS is the plus energy of justice. It's actually one of the fastest CS in the game, starting up at 30 frames and having a really shit block stun of like 16 frames. Like this is not a box stun. I'm just kidding. I mean, it's good enough for you to be running up and be able to jab almost in time, but yeah, don't count on it. But it does also have the property of being able to collect Dragon Balls as well, and it's also a DP assist. That means they cannot like jab it out or throw key blast or do any sort of thing. Like it will still act as a proper DP assist. But it is not invincible, but it doesn't have an invincible startup, so like they can get swatted out on startup. And since every assist is now a projectile type moves that can go through projectiles, we'll be able to go through that DPS as well, just to be clear. And it was a projectile move to begin with, so that's that as well. So characters like Broly and Super Saiyan Gogeta himself can go through every assist nowadays. So yeah, and the tracking for this move is only vertical. The tracking for this move is only horizontal. There is no vertical tracking on this, so that's also another thing to keep note of. But the another good thing about the assist is that like since it has the property of the move, so it's like a unidirectional assist. And therefore will hit like in that circular radius, so it's a very good thing. Catching people in the jumping frame is like always good. So that's also the advantage of that move. So that's about everything we have to cover for Super Surfer Gogeta. Yeah, that'll be it for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and learned something. Hopefully this allows you to play Super Surfer Gogeta even better than you've done before, and or allowing you to counter him much more efficiently, whichever side you're on. Hopefully you benefit either ways, and hopefully you enjoy it. If you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and thank you so much for your time nonetheless. Thank you so much for watching through it till the end if you did. But yeah, enjoy the comment section and announce in the next video. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.
Not even close. Try running this. Is that it? Come on. Not even close. Let's go. Damage. Not even close. Right here. Up top. Oh no, you don't. Here's some more. Oh no, you don't. Try rocking this. Sucks to be over. Down low. Let's go. Try rocking this. Gotcha. Damage. No way. Let's go. Right here. No way. Oh no, you don't. Try to keep damage. Come on. Such the no way. Oh no, you don't. Right here. Gotcha. There's some more damage. Oh no, you don't. Damn, come on. Such the damage. Let's go. Try running this. No way.